All right, well, a not-so-optimistic Bob Young commenting on the stadium debate, as I'm sure you heard, Nick. He says he likes the CP rail site at the corner of Highway 403 in Longwood, but he's giving it a less than 50% chance of it actually coming through. Those are not good odds. And joining us again is Nick Bontis, an award-winning professor from the DeGroote School of Business. Interested to see what you have to say about this, because as the weeks progress, it seems like we are further and further from reaching a conclusion that works for both parties. Well,
I have much respect for Bob Young, and congratulations to his alumni award today. You know, the way I see it, less than 50% doesn't really mean much to me. As long as it's not 0%, we still have to be fighting for this opportunity, because what it can do is bring a lot of potential future revenue into Hamilton. One of the issues that the Hamilton Ticats, of course, are interested in is making sure that we don't go just for the 15,000-seat stadium, that we actually bump it up to a 25,000-seat stadium. I agree with that argument, because a 25,000-seat stadium will also allow us to attract national and international sporting events. And that's, again, another revenue-generating opportunity for the city. What we got to do at this point right now is find the money. The federal government has come back and said that they're not willing to pony up the extra cash. The provincial government is willing to play. What we need to do now is go after the private sector. So I send this message back out to Bob Young and say, Bob, there's a lot of people that you know in business who have deep pockets, who are willing to co-advertise with you with this stadium. You need to go after those people so we can get the remaining cash. But
look at the timeline. We're talking October 12th, just a couple of weeks away. Is this in fact possible? And you got to wonder, why didn't council think about this option? It almost seems as though they're so narrow-minded that they can only consider one side at a time, and possibly that's why we're in this situation.
Well, these are very complex decisions that need to be made, Taz.
But lots of cities go through the same thing, and you got to wonder why we haven't been able to do it better.
Well, one of the things I believe is that we had too many options to begin with, and I think they got narrowed down too quickly. It was kind of one way or the other. These options were available in other places. Let's face it, the CP rail location that we're looking at right now, it was always there.
Yes, it was.
If you recall, a few weeks back, somebody asked my opinion about McMaster Innovation Park, and I was very emphatic to say that there was no way it was going to occur at that location, and that's come to be true because we want to save those high-paying jobs for the future. But the CP rail kind of brings in together all the best of both sides. It allows for the economic generation of the city. It also provides the Ticats and any other private sector firm that gets involved that 403 promotional access that they're looking for. So I'm still keeping my fingers crossed. I think a lot of people in the city know that this is a very important decision to be made. Of course, this whole thing gets confounded with the fact that we have elections coming up at the same time.
Yes, we do. Do you think it's possible that making a decision on the stadium might be postponed until after the election? Is that where you see things going?
I don't.
That could really affect the outcome.
Yeah, I don't. I think obviously we know that Mayor Fred, for example, is very tied to what decision is made, and that could actually make or break the election for him. But I believe that HOSCO and the Pan Am organization is saying, you know what, we got to move forward. This is make or break time now for Hamilton.
Okay, well, let's move forward right here. Research in Motion defying expectations yesterday with its second quarter earnings. We weren't expecting them to be this good, not at all, even the experts. And I think the reason here is pretty simple. They're shipping more BlackBerries than they did last year. Yeah. Can they keep this momentum up, though? Because they've got the Android on their heels, the Apple iPhone, and not to mention those security concerns from foreign countries. So is this kind of the end of the road for RIM, you think?
No, it's not the end of the road. I'm being very patriotic right now to say that I'm very excited that RIM beat the analysts. And the other reason why I'm happy that they beat the analysts was because there was a lot of talk in the media that RIM was not going to make their numbers, that they were going to actually disappoint. It's good to see that we still have privacy with this information, that there's no insider trading going on. So that's the first thing. With regards to performance moving forward, next Friday is actually a very, very important day because we finally get to launch the brand new BlackBerry Torch here in Canada. Sales were surprisingly higher than expected in the US. I hope that sales are higher than expected here in Canada. I'll be in line getting my Torch next Friday as well. It also has the brand new operating system, and the reason why that's important, Taz, is because in order for RIM to continue to grow, they're going to have to take that operating system 6 and not only put it in the Torch, but also make it available to all the other previous models, because let's face it, a lot of BlackBerry users out there have old BlackBerries.
Yes.
They may not necessarily want to pay the $399, $499, whatever it is to get the new Torch, but they want to take advantage of the new technology. So in the short term, RIM's going to have to move the operating system to the other devices. In the long term, RIM's going to have to deal with their international expansion, because that's where that long long-term growth is going to be.
While we're talking about smartphones, I'm sure you heard the Premier make a comment and then was forced to clarify, or felt he needed to clarify his position on smartphones in the classroom. What's your take on this one as a tech guy?
Well, I'm going to talk about it not only as a tech guy, but as a teacher myself. And you know what? If you're a teacher standing in front of the classroom and you don't have your students engaged, wanting to listen to you to learn, and they're busy fiddling around their BlackBerry, it says something about you as a teacher. It doesn't say anything about technology in the classroom. So I'm in full support. And the reason why is in a couple of years, the fine line between what a smartphone is and what a laptop is going to disappear.
Yeah.
The smartphone is going to become so powerful, it's going to be the laptop of choice for all students, and teachers are going to have to learn to use them in the classroom.
It's funny you say that, because the Premier referenced a reporter who was in the scrum yesterday, who clearly wasn't paying attention to what he said and was on his BlackBerry. Oh well, it seems we have a hard time putting those things away. Another interesting note this week was gold. It hit 2 record highs this week, Tuesday, up to about 25. What was it? It was up nearly $25 an ounce, I think.
No, $25 was the increase. It went up. It's up to as high as about $12.75 right now. Yeah.
So how did it climb so quickly during the span of just a couple of hours? That's 2% that it went up, and that's a huge increase.
It is. So let's understand exactly what gold is as an investment vehicle. Gold is a flight to safety. So when the market is sending out signals, for example, that the U.S. is not going to recover, one of the biggest challenges right now in the U.S. is a very large and real threat of what we call a double dip, double recession. And as soon as there's any talk of that, which there was this week, people will fly to gold because gold is there. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's at $12.75 right now. What are a couple of implications? Number one, will it go higher? I think it could. Some analysts are saying it could go as high as $2,000 in the next couple of years. So for all of you that have old gold jewelry somewhere in your house, start looking at all the old jewelry, all the old rings.
Just yet.
That's right. Hold on to it. Do a little inventory check. But that gold jewelry is going to be worth a lot of money in the next couple of months. Interesting.
Well, speaking of a gold-winning performance, not quite a gold-winning performance. Jackie Evancho on America's Got Talent. A lot of people watching this 10-year-old phenom with a voice of an angel. Everyone expecting her to win. Here she is singing. It's just remarkable how mature her voice is. And she defied all logic. She actually lost. Why do you think that happened?
Well, I think people started realizing that, you know what, this is just a little too much, a little too early. That's what I believe. I mean, these voting shows, you can never predict what's going to happen. But in terms of Jackie in particular, she is such a phenomenal voice. The problem is that it's in opera. And you know what, the voice and the age in terms of, young tweens, it doesn't map onto her opera voice. So there's going to be a challenge in how to market her. Okay, she got the silver medal. She came in second place. Question is, what's she going to do now? She's going to make a CD, and I think it's going to sell tons and tons and tons. But I recommend whoever's handling her, do not give her a Las Vegas show or anything like that. She's 10 years old. She's far too young.
As one more interesting note, for 2 of the finalists actually were opera singers, which was kind of surprising as you're talking about how it's difficult to market that. The other one, obviously, Prince Poppycock, a lot older, but she clearly has a great future ahead of her. This way she gets time to schedule maybe the 3 R's in there as well.
That's right. She's going to become famous for sure.
She's only 10 years old. Yeah. Well, that is Bontis on Business for this week. Be sure to check out his website, nickbontis.com. Nick, always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Taz.